if you had to describe this part of the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia, to somebody that just has never been here, how would you describe them?
Be prepared. I wouldn't even call it a knock last night, but like almost like but very, very loud, very bold.
Got the signature there.
A guy that said he got growled at here and said this is the scariest place he's ever been to. Oh, we got a clear. I wouldn't even call it a knock last night, but like almost like but very, very loud, very bold.
What are we thinking?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Get something like that. You can't just leave.
Everyone kind of on the same page? Because I mean, the whole move-in locations, obviously we're also trying to see stuff, but like the chances of activity are probably lessened. So that's something. It's very interesting.
Right. It's nothing definitive because basically we look for secondary markers along with singular
Maybe like a
activity.
puff or something.
Yeah. If you have if it were a wood knock and a whoop, then it would be two different indicators that it is a Bigfoot.
That's what Chris Spencer's always told me. He always tries to see if there's more than just one thing. Yeah. I mean, but it could be promising. I don't know.
It's a start. I mean, that's more than we've gotten so far.
So do we just stay here one more night then?
Yeah.
Everyone's already here. I mean, less migrating.
Might need to head out for some supplies or something.
Yeah.
Maybe get some more firewood. And
I gotta get. I have to go out to town anyway.
Okay, well, our plan was to leave camp tonight, go to a higher elevation in Virginia. With what we got last night, with what Charles got, we're gonna stay here. It should be a good night. It's warming up. Me and Luka are gonna go explore. Interesting, and it came in that direction. But he's got quite a setup with audio where, see what happens tonight. Got in late last night from a hike, so I didn't do much filming when we got into camp. It was very cold. It was 25 degrees last night. Right now it's probably in the 50s, might be almost 60. But this is our camp for tonight again. Living. Whew. It's just me, Mike, and Luka in camp right now. And after hearing what Charles got on his recorder, and Mike might have heard a faint knock over here not too long ago. Just a one knock. So we're gonna go in here and work our way around. And later on we'll go over there and work our way around. There you go, that's a good one. Man, my tongue is lost its.
That sounded like the audio that Charlie.
I am right.
More of like a.
It wasn't a knock. It was more of a pop.
I thought it sounded more like woodier. It could.
It sounded more like it was doing a mouth thing. My opinion. It's just an opinion. But I'm on the same page with you, Luka. To me, right away, I thought pop instead of a knock. And if it was a knock, it was a perfect knock on some perfect. It was like a perfect wood, like to make that. It was just. Look, we can almost make the sound, but think of something way bigger.
Yeah. With the deeper chest.
With the chest cavity, because the growl I heard vibrated, you know. So they have a very deep vocal. We're continuing walking the top of the hill. We've gone pretty far. We're gonna head down into the ravine and work our way that way towards camp again. Get back into camp, and then we'll go the other way once everyone comes back. It's pretty steep, but not too bad. Not as steep as what me and Luka have been hiking the past couple days.
Like, you went on the radio about it?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's that one. But the two knocks in question happened like right here.
Well, he's got, look at all the extensive notes. This is awesome. Possible knocks. 1:11 a.m.
So here's.
Yeah, we didn't stay up much past till 1.
I remember it being 1, and that was it.
Yeah.
And of course, being so cold, we all had our windows.
Yeah,
shut.
we were all completely barricaded in our vehicles.
When it's this cold, you are cocooned.
Oh yeah, that was me.
It's so cold.
That was me last night.
Becomes secondary.
Exactly.
There it is.
Interesting. Got the signature there. Yeah, let me try it out.
Want me to film you?
Yeah, sure. So, let's see.
Sorry, bro.
That's okay. That's like a real.
That is a
that's a real
good one.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I want Charles to
Okay, go one more time. And there's a. You could hear it without even it on. Yeah. Wow.
Hey, Charles.
That's awesome.
He's got a minute.
Very interesting. So the audio that Mike has from our second night camping in Dolly Sods, he caught a knock similar, it's almost the same as what Charles got here last night at 4 a.m. That's enticing. It's a spooky area, and it definitely. Aleks interviewed a guy that said he got growled at here and said this is the scariest place he's ever been to, going out looking. So we'll see what happens tonight, but connect the dots. The knock is it's the same thing, and he's got 2 of them. So 2 of the nights we've gotten activity knock-wise. No whoops or anything yet, but let's see what tonight brings. We're going full blast tonight. Got the wingman resting up, right, Chewy? I'm charging all my gear right now. Getting everything ready. Let's see what happens. Got to bundle up. I'm about to layer up. It's getting cold.
I guess since COVID, I've seen a lot more people like going up and hiking and backpacking, but no one's bigfooting at those places really.
We hiked down the mountain in Kentucky at Mammoth Cave. We drove up to the top and parked. We walked down the mountain to this lake. It's like I don't know, it's probably just a large pond. I know the difference between a lake and a pond is the depth of the water.
I didn't.
Which is kind of weird, actually.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the water was probably a little bigger than this opening here.
Yeah.
And we were on one side, and we stopped, and we had hiked about a quarter of the way around. When we come down to the lake, we hiked clockwise around the lake about a quarter of the way. We stopped, and we did a whoop and a wood knock combination, and then we listened. And directly across the lake, we got a whoop reply directly on the other side. And then about 10 seconds later, it whooped again, but it had moved around the lake. And then about 10 or 15 seconds later, it whooped a third time, and it was much closer.
It moved. Yeah.
And then it stopped.
Right here, bub. Right here.
All right, everybody ready?
Chewy, get in line.
Present? All right, guys. So we kind of have our plan set for tonight. We're gonna head out 2 different directions. We've got base camp team. That's gonna be Charles and Joe. You guys will chill here by the fire. We'll have radio communications, and then 2 teams of 2 heading in opposite directions. You were mentioning how I try the technique of teams in different directions, maybe trying to stir something up. So I say we try that. What do you think? So we've got base camp here in between, so if there's any communication issues, we'll relay to base camp. But say we go out, maybe then try some whoop combos with knocks. These guys can do it over here too. So everyone, we're gonna have walkies. You have the walkies, right? Okay, cool. All right. I guess we'll just go. I think me and Jonathan, and then maybe you 2 guys.
Okay.
The dog. Is that
Sure.
cool? I want to take that direction behind camp. So you guys want to go out that way?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's go for it. Okay. Some point in the night.
Yeah.
Right, Chewy?
Where is he? He's ready.
Looking for adventure.
Yep. Whatever comes his way.
Wow.
Okay. Going full out tonight.
Bring him out over there.
Huh?
Where are they?
It's
You're just right here.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Let's just bring him over there. I want to
past midnight.
Okay.
What time is it? Midnight?
It's well after midnight.
Dude.
Good. 1?
10, 15 to 1.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, it's me and Mike walking the road with the opposite way of Alex and John. And we're gonna do some calls, do some knocks, and see if we get anything to answer. Alright, it's about 1:15. Me, Mike, and Chewy are just gonna post up at this tree and sit for a while off the side of the road. And wait till we hear from the other guys and do some calls and some knocks, see if we can bring anything in. We got a few hours.
$1,000. You talking to one?
Reason I'm doing this, people, is because the volume doesn't work on my Phasm cam. So just showing you guys that we're posted up through the GoPro with my Phasm cam going, which has an IR light, so I can see pretty far with it. We're not getting any luck on this trip. It's just if it's not rain, it's snow. If it's not snow, it's freezing rain. It's just something different we've had to deal with almost every single day. It's very frustrating for us because all you can hear is the freezing rain hitting the leaves, and you can't hear much unless it's very close, and it limits what we can do. We'll do the best we can. Hopefully it passes. I mean, we need a few days in a row of good weather if we want to do some good investigation. Poor Chewy's getting all wet. Should have put his coat on. It's life of squatching. It's good with the bad, and most of the times it's bad. Right?
Well, let me look at some better lighting with the red light.
Yep.
It feels like cheating.
Why not? Hey, if it makes our lives easier, yeah, why not, right?
Okay, we got a thermal on top of the vehicle. I'm gonna drive the roads, and Charles will have it hooked up to his computer in the passenger seat, and we'll have live thermal going as we drive the roads. Should be interesting. Ooh, have fun.
Mount it on the truck. Keep in touch via the walk. Hopefully they get something. we're going to be therming out from our windows too. Hello.
Hello. Here's how our night ends. Well, I should say how our morning begins. Changing a tire at 4:30 in the morning. Oh, my legs. Well, heading back to camp as soon as we get the tire back on. It'll be past 5 by the time we get back. So, that was kind of a bust.
So, I think we'll start out again just we'll start out with some of the few questions we started with yesterday, just about, if you had to describe this part of the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia to somebody that just has never been here, how would you describe them?
Be prepared. It's pretty rustic. The mountains here are not like the mountains out west. However, they're still mountains nonetheless, and they'll take their toll on you if I'm feeling it today from a hike we did a few days ago. But this part of the country is it's got a little bit of everything. We have the mountainous terrains here in this part, but you don't have to go very far before you lose the mountains completely, and it just becomes flat, and you can see for miles, just from a low elevation even. So any better than like the Rocky Mountains and stuff, but they're all different in their own aspect. What we have here is special to us because it's home, and so we love what we have here. We've moved away, but at some point in our lives, and realize pretty quickly that that's no place like home. So you start missing the mountains and the wildlife and all of the little things that we have here, with all the great hiking and all the great the parks, the state parks, the national park that we have nearby. It's got a little bit of everything here. It's awesome.
If you had to explain to somebody, why, what, in your opinion, why would these mountains in this part of the country be able to sustain something like a Sasquatch, or if you have theories, what reasons would you give?
Yeah, well, Sasquatch are opportunists. So we have an awful lot of national forest here, so we have a lot of hunters, and but the wildlife is quite abundant. And one of the things that these creatures will search out are scraps and carcasses from where hunters have either poached deer or they've killed deer legally and just thrown the carcass out in the woods. And so these easy meals are very opportunistic opportunities for them. So I think that we get quite a bit of that. I actually worked a report right up that alley. There was like 19 deer carcasses in one spot, and there had been a lot of Bigfoot activity right there, right at that location where all those deer carcasses were. So now I don't know if those carcasses were put there by hunters or if they were just leftovers from the Squatch themselves, but they're definitely after the deer.
Could you just run me through kind of one more time what really got you into the Bigfoot world and like your encounter while you were hunting?
Sure. Yeah, so up in Shenandoah County, Virginia, I have a good friend of mine who owns a bunch of property up there, and I've hunted there since I was a teenager. And I went in once. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I went to go hunt, and I was with another friend of mine, and we pulled in off the road, nose first into the woods, and we turn off the truck. We open the front doors to get out. We were trying to get to our stand before daylight, and open the doors, get out, close the front doors, and before we could open the back doors to get our gear, we got screamed at from about, I'm guessing, maybe 75 yards inside the woods, straight in front of the truck. And it was like nothing I'd ever heard before. It was like guttural, but yet a lot of volume, so much that we both could feel it in our chest. And it just instilled fear in both of us, and we weren't expecting anything like that. I mean, you've done this 100 times, you know, and so we didn't hunt that day. You know, we ended up getting back in the truck and sitting there for a long time, just debating back and forth. What was that? What did we hear? I'm like, I know it wasn't a cat. I had seen a mountain lion probably 300 or 400 yards from that exact spot, but it wasn't a cat scream. This was a different guttural roar, much deeper. Like I actually described this in my books, saying that you would have to have a chest the size of a whiskey barrel to be able to make that kind of volume at that distance to be able to feel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first encounter, and so what I did from there is I sat on it for a couple of years, just wondering back and forth, what was that? How am I going to figure out what this was? So I went online to try to figure out what it was, and I came across Monongahela's website, Sasquatch Bioacoustics, and he had some audio on there saying that it was Sasquatch. I'm like, well, that sounds almost identical to what I heard. And so I'm like, I don't know that I believe or if I disbelieve, but I'm open-minded enough that I want to find out. So I connected with the BFRO at that point, and I had already tried doing some Bigfoot research to try to drum up some activity, try to elicit a response in some way, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So when I connected with the BFRO, I went on one of their public-private expeditions and met a bunch of great people that was also their first expedition, and now, gosh, majority of the people that was on that expedition are now like some of my best friends, and they're all BFRO investigators as well now. But the thing it did was it put me in touch with other people who are looking for the same answers that I'm looking for. And so what I learned from that expedition was, you know, what I'm doing. I'm going out in the woods, and now I have a little better understanding what I'm looking for, what to do to try to get a response from them. And I'm still in contact with these same fantastic people that I've met on that very first expedition back in 2012. And we're all like not just best friends, we're all like family now. I'm telling you, that's the best thing about Bigfooting. You know, the people you meet become closer to you than your own family. So it's together probably 3 or 4 times a year now. So just to go out squatching.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely the people you meet are some of the best parts about the search. You know, it's part of the journey, and I definitely enjoy that. Now, I don't know if I asked you this yesterday. I might have. If you have like a personal favorite encounter or report that you've taken or investigated in, you know, kind of this part of Virginia.
Yeah. So not even that far away from here, in Raleigh Springs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did mention this one.
Yeah. So I got the Facebook Messenger one time from a guy that I kind of grew up with. It's pretty infamous. You always get the message where someone says, "You don't really believe in that Bigfoot crap, do you?" And just trying to get a feel for how I feel about it. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I've experienced some things that I just can't really explain any other way, and been out there enough to see and experience these things that I think there's definitely something out there. I haven't seen one face to face yet, but you know, it's just a matter of time, I think. And then they always say, well, let me tell you what happened to me, so that they know that I'm not going to ridicule them at that point, because that's the biggest problem with being a Bigfoot believer. Ridicule. We get ridiculed constantly. I'm okay with that. It's a good hobby. Everybody needs a good hobby, so hiking with a purpose. But anyway, this guy went bear hunting. I think it was back around the early 90s at a place, Driver Dam. Back then you could drive all the way back to the dam itself, and he was getting his gear out of his truck, and he said these 2 bear dogs ran past him just letting loose, And he's like, well, they're on a bear. I'm going to get up to my spot. He said to himself, I'm going to get up to my spot. Maybe these dogs will chase it to me up there. So he hustled on up the mountain and got up to this little spot. And it's a little open field. It's like 75 yards wide, I think he said, maybe like 125 yards deep. And he was standing on a flat rounded rock. It was smooth. And just at the very edge of the woods, underneath of some evergreen trees, so probably some cedars or pines or something. And so he's like, I was pretty hidden back in there. And he said the wind was blowing to his face across that whole field. And he could hear the dogs behind him circling around like this. And then they came over to the far end of the field, but the dogs never got that far. He said they stopped about halfway across the field, but down over the ridge. And then he heard something crashing on the far corner of the field. And he said a Bigfoot came right up out of that woods on the corner and had his back to him. And he said, I could see it standing there with his back to me, breathing just like, because it had been running from these dogs. And he said just the next thing that happened was the strangest thing. He said the wind was blowing to him, so he said it didn't wind him. He said, I was on this rock, no leaves. I didn't make a sound, and I didn't move. And this thing jumped, had its back to him. He said it jumped up, spun in, and faced him just with one fluid movement and looked straight at him. And he said, we looked at each other for probably 15, 20 seconds. And he said, I don't know how it knew I was there. But he's like, I'm holding I think he said it was a .338 Lapua. He's like, I got the gun that I could take this thing out with, but he's like, it looked human, but looked like a massive human. He's like, I couldn't shoot it, but I wanted to look at it. And he said, I wanted to look at it through the scope. And so he's like, we were in a standoff. And so he's like, I did the only thing that I knew to do. He's like, I jerked my rifle up with one fluid movement, just real quick, to try to get a look at it. He said, the second I flinched, that thing took off running across that open field and was across it in a matter of a couple of seconds and into the woods on the other side. And to this day, he's like, I know what I saw. But he's like, I didn't get a look at it through the scope because it moved so quickly, but it's puzzling. You know, I mean, it was definitely running from the dogs. The dogs were on it, not a bear. Interesting story, though.
That is an incredible story.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, that is. Wow.
And that was in Raleigh Springs, so that is it's on the way to Harrisonburg from where we are right now.
Very cool. That's amazing. In your opinion, what is the best evidence that's come out of this part of Virginia? Anything Sasquatch-wise that you're aware of?
Oh gosh, best evidence. As far as evidence go, the most common and most easily gathered evidence is audio. Video is like obviously the golden standard, but getting video is almost impossible. So there's some good audio that's been captured. I actually captured some pretty good howls when I was out with Tyler Hall the last time, and but we get tons of wood knocks, but you never get anything definitive. What we try to do is when we're gathering audio evidence, you try to get something with two different markers. So you want to get one vocal, but then you want a secondary marker in there also to I would say it would increase your odds of it being an authentic Sasquatch call. Probably, I would say somewhere in the 90%. I mean, if you got two things that you think are Bigfoot related in the same audio file, then you're more than likely going to have something that's authentic. But that's the easiest thing to get, the audio, because you don't necessarily even have to be there to gather it. So I put these long duration audio recorders out in the woods and leave them for 30 to 40 nights in a row. And then it's like Christmas. I go get it, swap out the battery, swap out the memory card, and go back and review my audio. And on occasion, I get some good stuff. But that's going to be the easiest to get. It's a lot of leg work, but when you get that audio file, it's like Christmas. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I know the feeling of going to get trail cam or some audio, and it's like, oh man, can't wait to see what's on there.
Yeah.
My last question for you here is just, what's one of the more interesting things that's happened to you while investigating this part of Virginia and the
Man,
mountains?
I've had some hairy things happen, some hair-raising experiences. I mean, of course I've been screamed at. I've had rocks thrown at me. I actually got surrounded once. I had a couple of them around me, and they were. One of them was definitely within 30 yards of me because it did a wood knock so loud that I stumbled off of my little stool, and then there was another one behind me, and then we had some rustling off to the side at the same moment. So there was definitely 2 there, possibly 3 at one moment. And but when that happens, you can feel like I shouldn't be here kind of feeling. But I never felt threatened at any of this because they never become aggressive or anything. I've heard they can become aggressive, but I've never experienced any aggression. So it's to me, it's like I'm out here just trying to get something to prove that they exist. More so for myself than anyone. I don't really care if anyone else believes what my evidence is, whether it's authentic or not. It's for the most part, we keep it to ourselves anyway. We don't even share it because you share that kind of stuff, and you're just opening yourself up to trolls to start saying things bad about you. So we just try to keep it to ourselves.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add specifically about Virginia?
Virginia is it's fantastic for this, but it's a blessing and a curse because of the amount of national forest that we have in this part of the state. There's not any national forest in the eastern part of Virginia, but in the western part, we have like 1.6 million acres of national forest. So trying to pinpoint these things where they are, there's not that many of them. So trying to find where their little clans may be is tough. You can go out for weeks at a time and never get a single knock or anything, and it's a blessing and a curse. It's nice to have so much land for them, but and so much land for us to research, but it becomes difficult to. I'll put my audio recorder in one place for a month, and if I don't get anything, then I have to pull it out and I'll just move it somewhere else several miles away and try this location, and it's never ending. It's like it's a crapshoot. But the one thing that I really like about this is it almost becomes a game. It's like, who can be sneakier, them or us? So we have to try to out sneaky them with camera traps or audio traps, and so it's like I know that they know my audio recorder's in that tree, because that doesn't belong, but they don't seem to mind audio recorders. That's very strange. I can't explain that. They don't seem to mind audio recorders, but they do mind video equipment. But I've had them not in Virginia, but I had one in North Carolina that looked right at my camera while it was recording, and this thing was definitely reasoning. It's like it looked left at a cookie that I'd put on a picnic table, and then it looked right up the hill towards the other campers, and then it looked straight ahead at my camera that was recording. But like the camera was sitting on top of a cooler with a trash bag draped over top of it, because thermals can see through trash bags, and so it couldn't see the camera, but it knew something was not right, and it did not take that cookie. He was literally from here to that picnic table from the cookie, and didn't take it. So it lifted its head up, and you could see it looking, turning, looked at the camera, and after about 8 seconds, it ducked its head, turned, and went back the way it came. And so getting something like that is exciting. I've only captured something that I think is a Bigfoot just one time on camera after all these years. But I think that campground that I was in has a history of Bigfoot activity as well. It's the same campground where the squeaky footage from Mike Green back in, what was that, 2004, I think it was. And no, 2009 was when Mike got that footage. But same campground, like 5 campsites down the hill from it. So there's definitely a history there.
I was just leaving camp. Got Charles ahead of me. What a great guy. Charles has a wealth of information. Great tech guy. Great ideas. It was such a huge plus for me, and I think everyone with me to be around Charles these last few days. For me, it's just sitting there and can relate to what he's saying from his first encounter, hunting on his friend's property. Me, I was just camping in a tent, not looking for anything, just camping. And having something happen to you can't explain for years. And he said the same reason he kept it to himself for a couple of years, because of the ridicule. I didn't really know I didn't get to really start connecting the dots until 2008, 2009. So pretty much 5-6 years after it happened, when Monster Quest came out, is when I started to connect the dots with the John Majewski tent encounter and the Whitehall episode on Monster Quest where the guy felt the vibration in his pant leg. It's the neck hair raises on me every time I hear it. I just get that validation of, oh my God, that happened to me. There's not a day that goes by I don't think about that tent encounter. For years, I think about it every day, especially, of course, while we're out. I don't get Bigfoot on the brain when we're out here, but I definitely think about my tent encounter every time. Every time I see a tent, I think about it. Chewy's weakness. His number one thing to chase, a deer. Well, Mother Nature decided to throw another curveball at us as soon as we get into the Shenandoah National Forest. Dense fog rolled in and brought our trip to an end. Rotten. This guy just set up. You are all set. We'll be as quiet as a mouse fart.
Yeah, it won't be too long. Oh, that looks really good, actually.
Chewy, you gotta stay out of the way. Don't need any Chewy photo bombs.
I kind of like the idea.
It's before, we've hiked before, and he like knocked the tripod over one time. We were trying to get a shot. It was pretty funny.
He'll do it.
I had to include in the video. I'm like, this
He's
is just
an
too funny.
attention whore.
We're like, Chewy, no, and you just see the tripod go over.
We're in Virginia.
We are in Virginia,
Technically,
actually?
Technically.
Shit, I thought we were still in West Virginia.
Yeah, it's over there. You see that, Brian?
Yeah.
That's it.
You're damn right. We didn't come not to finish.
Exactly. That's what she said.